The voice echoed through Flight 447's cabin like a whip. "Sir, you will have to buy 2 seats. This isn't a bus." All heads turned. Cell phones raised. Camera flashes on. The awkward silence that precedes the chaos. Marcus Chen, 42, a systems engineer and first-class passenger, was standing in the aisle holding his carry-on suitcase. Her face remained impassive, but her fingers lightly tightened the strap of her bag. The flight attendant, shiny badge that read Supervisor Daniela Kurtz, crossed her arms and tilted her head with a sneer that would melt steel. "I'm waiting, darling. Either come down now or I'll call security." Marcus took a deep breath. He knew this game. I had played before. 3 years ago on another flight, another flight attendant had muttered something about people who should take care of their health before traveling. Marcus simply put on his headphones and ignored it. It wasn't worth it. 2 months ago, a hotel manager looked at him and suggested that perhaps you would prefer a room on the ground floor to avoid stairs. Marcus politely thanked him and climbed 6 flights without breaking a sweat. But today was different. "My seat is 2A first class. It's in my boarding pass." Daniela gave a short, almost theatrical laugh. "Baby, I know how to read. But look at you. Look at the size of this situation. You can't fit in just 1 seat. Company regulations. Security, you know." Some passengers laughed softly. Others looked away, embarrassed to witness it. An elderly lady in row 3 mumbled something about lack of respect. Nobody did anything. A man in a gray suit in row 5 raised his cell phone higher, ensuring the perfect angle. A teenager next to him was already typing the caption, "Commissioner Lacra, fat passenger, ha ha ha." Marcus didn't move. "I travel this route every week. Same seat, same class. There was never a problem." "Oh yeah?" Daniela raised an eyebrow painted with surgical precision. "So you mean I'm the problem?" She raised the tone on purpose, performative, like someone who knows she's being filmed and wants to secure the role of heroine. "Because I'm here to guarantee the safety of all passengers. And if you don't cooperate, I'll have to ask you to disembark. Now." Marcus finally looked up, not angry, not ashamed, with something worse, patience. He had grown up hearing this kind of thing. At school, boys laughed at him in the locker room. In college, professors joked about students who eat more than they study. At his first job, colleagues suggested that he may not fit into the company's young, dynamic culture. Marcus fit in so well that 5 years later he was leading the entire technological infrastructure of the largest airline in the United States. But no one ever linked the name Marcus Chen to the body that was there, standing in the hallway. "Okay," he said calmly, placing the suitcase in the overhead compartment as if nothing had happened. "I'll sit in my seat." Daniela blinked, disconcerted. She expected resistance, drama, something that justified the scene he had just created. I heard what you said." Marcus interrupted her softly without looking back. "And now I'm going to sit down." He slid into seat 2A with the same calmness as someone sitting in his own room. He put on the belt. He opened the laptop. Daniela stood in the hallway, mouth open, not knowing how to react. Some passengers whispered among themselves. A man in a suit in row 4 let out a silent, "Wow." The flight attendant turned on her heel and marched to the back of the cabin, muttering something into the portable radio strapped to her shoulder. "We need support at the gate." Passenger refusing safety instructions. His voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Purposeful, Marcus didn't take his eyes off the screen, but his fingers typed quickly, very fast. The laptop screen showed cascading lines of code, commands that most people wouldn't even know how to interpret. Marcus scrolled through SkyPrime Airlines' internal systems as easily as someone scrolls through Instagram. Check-in system operational, flight control system operational, communication system with towers operational. For now, what no one on that plane knew, not Daniela, not the passengers filming, not even the confident pilot in the cockpit, was that Marcus Chen wasn't just a frequent flyer. He was the man who kept SkyPrime Airlines' entire digital infrastructure running. Every system, every server, every line of code that made planes take off, land, and communicate with control towers around the world. 7 years ago, Marcus was hired as an intern. 3 years later, promoted to IT manager. 2 years ago, he became director of technological infrastructure, the man responsible for ensuring that 1,200 daily flights don't fall out of the sky. He had access to everything, and no one suspected anything because, for them, Marcus was just the friendly chubby. 2 security guards climbed the boarding ramp. Daniela pointed to Marcus' direction with a dramatic gesture. "That one there. He is refusing to follow the standards." The security guards exchanged glances. One of them, an older man with gray hair, walked to Marcus. "Lord, I need the Lord to accompany me." Marcus looked up calmly. "Can I know the reason?" The supervisor reported a security situation. Marcus nodded slowly, closed the laptop. He took the backpack. "Of course, no problem." He got up with the same silent dignity as always. He walked down the corridor under everyone's eyes. Daniela crossed her arms, pleased, as who had just won a battle. But as Marcus descended the ramp escorted by the security guards, he pulled his cell phone out of his pocket. A short message, 5 words. Protocol general failure. Activate now. Enter. And in the next 10 minutes, Daniela Kurtz would find out exactly what happens when you humiliate the wrong person. If you are enjoying this silent twist story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will leave you dropped. Marcus was escorted to a waiting room at the terminal. White walls, plastic chairs, the smell of old and disinfectant coffee. The security guards asked him to wait while resolved the situation. One of them even apologized with his eyes. The other just sighed, tired of scenes like that. Marcus sat down. He crossed his hands on his lap. It took a deep breath and waited. Meanwhile, on Flight 447, Daniela Kurtz paraded through the cabin with a victorious smile on her lips. She adjusted the scarf around her neck, checked her hair in the window reflection, and waved some passengers as if it were a celebrity. "All solved, guys," she announced with a sweet and professional voice. "Safety always first, right?" Some passengers applauded. Others recorded stories with brave commission, and he deserved captions. Daniela loved attention, always loved it. 6 months ago, she had been promoted to cabin supervisor after a viral video where she confronted a drunk passenger. The company loved advertising. Daniela loved the spotlight. Since then, she was looking for opportunities to enforce the rules, always with audience, always with cameras. Today, it would be no different. She pulled the portable radio and spoke aloud enough for everyone to hear. "Control, here's Kurtz. Passenger removed. Shipment can proceed normally." Across the line, a tired voice replied, "Copy, Daniela." But was it really necessary? He had valid boarding pass. Daniela rolled her eyes. Necessary? He was clearly violating safety standards. "I did my job." Silence on the other side. She turned off the radio and continued her triumphant round through the cabin, checking belts, adjusting bags, smiling at the cameras. What Daniela didn't know, and I would never imagine, was that Marcus Chen wasn't just waiting in that room. He was watching. In the laptop that security guards didn't even think about confiscating, Marcus had access to each Sky Prime Airlines system, each panel, each screen, each internal communication, and he was seeing everything. The screen showed the flight control panel 447, status, ready for takeoff, passengers, 187, crew, 12, route, Chicago to Los Angeles. Marcus entered a quick sequence of commands. The automatic check-in system began to crash, slowly, imperceptibly. Passengers trying to check in online received error messages. Kiosks at the airport frozen. Attendants were starting to type manually, a process 10 times slower. Marcus tilted his head, watching digital chaos spread like paint in the water. It was not yet serious. Not yet. Back at the departure gate, an attendant named Sarah frowned to see 3 blue screens flashing at the same time. Again, serious. She restarted the system. Nothing. He called the technical support. "Hi, it's Sarah, from Gate 23. The terminals crashed again. Can you take a look?" Across the line, a technician yawned. "Must be temporary instability. Have you tried restarting?" "Obviously, yes." "Then you'll have to wait. We have 3 gates with the same problem now." Sarah hung up, frustrated. The passenger line was beginning to grow. Some complained. Others were already taking pictures to complain on social networks. Meanwhile, on Flight 447, Daniela finally sat in the folding chair of the kitchen and took the cell phone. Checked Instagram, 47 notifications, most compliments. "You're too much, Danny." Finally, someone with courage. He had to be aware. She smiled, enjoyed some comments, and posted a selfie with the caption, "Another day saving lives 10,000 meters high." One of the junior stewards, a young man named Kevin, approached her cautiously. "Daniela, do you think that was a little exaggerated?" She looked up from her cell phone, irritated. "Exaggerated? Kevin, how long have you been here? 3 months? 4? So let those with experience make the decisions, okay?" Kevin backed away, embarrassed. He had seen Marcus Chen on previous flights. Always polite, always punctual, always in the same seat. But it was not the time to contradict Daniela, not when she was in this mood. In the waiting room, Marcus received a notification on his cell phone, an automatic email from Sky Prime's internal system. Alert, instability detected at 12 boarding gates. IT team notified. He smiled discreetly. 12 gates. 700 passengers late. 4 flights with delayed takeoff, and he hadn't even really started yet. Marcus opened another terminal on the laptop. This time, he accessed the baggage control system. Automatic treadmills, scanners, barcodes, everything working perfectly. For now, he typed a simple command. 1 line of code. Enter. In the basement of the airport, a conveyor belt stopped, then another, then 3 more. Suitcases began to pile up. Alarms sounded. Officials rushed to check the problem. "What's going on?" shouted a supervisor, seeing the mountain of piled luggage. "I don't know. The system crashed out of nowhere. Call it now." Marcus watched everything through the security cameras. Every treadmill stopped. Every employee desperate. Every angry passenger complaining about a lost suitcase. He felt no pleasure, just justice. Because Marcus Chen was not vindictive by nature. He was patient, professional, calm, but there was a limit. And Daniela Kurtz had just crossed it. His cell phone vibrated. Message from Lisa, your IT assistant. "Marcus, something is very wrong. Systems cascading down. Do you see that?" He typed the answer with quick fingers. "Yes, I'm checking. It could be an external attack. I'll investigate." Lie. It was not an external attack. It was internal, and Marcus was just getting started. On Flight 447, the pilot received a message from Air Traffic Control. "Flight 447, takeoff delayed by 20 minutes. Await further instructions." The co-pilot frowned. "Why? Everything is ready." "I don't know, I will check." Daniela heard the announcement through the internal system and snorted, irritated. Delays meant annoying passengers, complaints, and less time to post on Instagram. She got up and went to the pilot's cabin. "What's going on?" The pilot, a gray-haired man named Robert, didn't even look at her. "Technical problems on the ground. Nothing you need to worry about, Daniela." "Nothing I need to worry about. I'm the cabin supervisor, I need to know." Robert sighed. "Then go there and find out. I have a plane to fly." Daniela left the cabin furious, but before she could do anything, her radio crackled. "Attention all teams. Central system down. All flights suspended until further notice." She froze. "What?" In the terminal, passengers began to scream. Flight screens only showed error messages. Attendants tried to calm angry crowds. And in the midst of the growing chaos, Marcus Chen closed his laptop, put it in his backpack, and calmly stood up. One of the security guards entered the room. "Mr. Chen, I regret to inform you that your flight has been canceled. Technical problems." Marcus nodded calmly. "I understand. Can I leave then?" "Yes, sir. And sorry for the inconvenience." Marcus smiled slightly. "No problem. These things happen." He walked through the terminal like a ghost, invisible, ignored. But inside, Marcus knew exactly what was coming next. Because in the next 5 minutes, the entire Sky Prime Airlines operation would completely collapse, and Daniela Kurtz would be the only person to blame for everything. Marcus left the airport and went straight home. Modest apartment, 2 bedrooms, view of a parking lot. Nothing flashy. Exactly how he liked it. He turned on the main computer, a custom-built machine with 3 curved monitors, and sank into the ergonomic chair. His fingers danced over the keyboard like a pianist in concert. Screen 1, Sky Prime Airlines systems in progressive collapse. Screen 2, social media exploding with passenger complaints. Screen 3, internal emails from the board in total panic. Marcus didn't smile, didn't celebrate, just watched. The cell phone vibrated. "Lisa, your IT assistant, calling for the 5th time in 10 minutes. He answered. "Marcus, thank God, where are you? We need you now." "I'm home, Lisa." "What happened? What happened?" "Everything fell. Check-in, baggage, communication with towers, reservation system. Everything. The board is freaking out. Flights are stopped at 6 airports. Passengers wanting to sue us. It's the apocalypse." Marcus let the silence weigh down for 3 seconds. "Any hypothesis?" "The team thinks it was a hacker attack, but nothing makes sense. The firewalls are intact, no suspicious log. It is as if the system had self-destructed. Interesting. Marcus, we are losing millions per hour. You need to go back now." He looked at the clock. 14:37. "I'll need 2 hours. I have to solve something here first." 2 hours? Marcus, Lisa, trust me. 2 hours and I solve it. But I need time. She hesitated. It took a deep breath. "It's okay, but the board will charge you. Leave with me." He hung up, and she typed again. Because Marcus was not just to overthrow systems randomly. He was building something. A digital trail. A narrative. And Daniela Kurtz would be the involuntary protagonist of this story. Meanwhile, at the airport, Daniela was surrounded by furious passengers. Flight 447 had been canceled, just like other 20 flights scheduled for that afternoon. "This is absurd," shouted a man in a suit. "I have a meeting in Los Angeles early tomorrow. I understand your frustration, sir, but do you understand? Do you understand? I paid $2,000 for this flight." Daniela forced her professional smile, but inside she was boiling. She hated dealing with irritated passengers. "I hated it to be the punching bag of problems that did not cause. Or did it cause?" Kevin, junior commissioner, approached her with caution. "Danny, did you see what's so talking about the nets?" She took his cell phone and read the screen. Several posts, dozens of videos, all showing the same scene. Daniela Kurtz screaming with Marcus Chen in the plane corridor, and the comments were not compliments. What a horror. What a lack of professionalism. She humiliated the guy for nothing. Typical plain Karen. I hope it is fired. Daniela felt the blood freezing. That's not right. I was just following a protocol. Kevin didn't answer, just looked away. Daniela tried to enter Instagram to control the narrative, but the application crashed, restarted, locked it again. Your cell phone started receiving direct messages, hundreds, thousands, curses, threats, gifs of people rolling their eyes. She blocked the comments, disabled the notifications, but it was too late. The video already had over 2 million views, and it was growing up. Far from there, in a quiet coffee in the city center, a man with round glasses and impeccable suit watched the same video on the tablet. His name was David Park, lawyer specializing in cases of corporate discrimination. He took a sip of coffee and typed a quick email. Subject, potential case, flight discrimination. Mr. Chen, my name is David Park. I saw the video of the incident on Flight 447. If you are interested in discussing appropriate legal actions, I am available. Cases like this usually result in significant agreements. Marcus received the email 5 minutes later. He read, reread, and answered with a single sentence. Thank you, Mr. Park, but it will not be necessary. I'm taking care of it personally. David frowned. Strange answer, but respected. Marcus returned to work. Now he was accessing something different, not the Sky Prime systems, but internal human resources records. Daniela Kurtz's history. 3 warnings for inappropriate behavior with passengers, all archived, all ignored because she generated engagement on social networks. 5 formal complaints from colleagues about bullying, all resolved internally. 2 labor processes in progress, both stiffened by the legal department. Marcus saved everything, organized in a compressed folder, attached prints, videos, audios, and sent anonymously to 3 destinations. A. Sky Prime Airlines Compliance Department. 2. Union of Flight Attendants. 3. 5 investigative journalists specializing in labor rights. Email subject, the true face of Sky Prime Airlines. Enter. Sent. Marcus leaned against the chair and finally a long sigh was allowed. Lisa called again. Marcus, you need to come now. The CEO is here. He wants to talk to you in person. I'm leaving. He turned off the monitors. He put on his coat. He took the backpack. But before leaving, he opened one last window in the laptop. Sky Prime Airlines Flight Control System. Status, critical. Marcus entered a final command, a line of code that would restore everything, all systems, all operations, but not yet, not yet. He closed the laptop and left a door. 20 minutes later, Marcus entered the Sky Prime Airlines corporate building. Mirrored glass, marble lobby, smiling receptionists who never looked at him twice. He climbed straight to the 12th floor, executive meeting room. Inside, 8 people in panic. CEO, CFO, operations director, substitute IT manager, legal advisors, and Lisa, his assistant, visibly relieved to see him. The CEO, a man named Richard Vaughn, stood up as soon as Marcus entered. Chen, finally! What the hell is going on? Marcus placed his backpack on the table. He sat down calmly. Good afternoon, everybody. Can anyone update me on the situation? Richard clenched his fists. You update me, Marcus. You are the infrastructure director. Why did the systems crash? Marcus looked around the room, all eyes fixed on him. He took a deep breath and smiled, just a little. I have some theories, but before discussing technical solutions, there is something you need to know. Richard frowned. What? Marcus opened the laptop. He rotated the screen for everyone to see. It was the video. Daniela Kurtz shouting at him in the plane aisle. 2.5 million views. That happened today, with me, on Flight 447. Absolute silence. Lisa's eyes widened. The operations director covered her mouth with her hand. Richard turned pale. Marcus continued, voice as calm as still water. And now, while our company is in technical collapse, I suggest we talk about how Sky Prime Airlines deals with discrimination, bullying, and the toxic culture that allows employees like Daniela Kurtz to continue operating. Richard opened his mouth. It closed. It opened again. Marcus, you're not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting anything, Richard. I am affirming. And in that moment, everyone in the room understood. Marcus Chen wasn't just the man who kept the systems running. He was the man who could destroy them. And it had already started. The silence in the meeting room was so thick it could have been cut with a knife. Richard Vaughn, CEO of Sky Prime Airlines, looked at Marcus as if he were seeing a ghost. His hands shook slightly on the polished mahogany table. Marcus, you can't be saying that I took down the systems? Marcus completed the sentence with surgical calm. I'm not saying that, Richard. I'm telling you that the systems went down exactly 23 minutes after I was publicly humiliated by an employee of this company. And now, you have a very simple choice to make." Lisa's eyes widened. The operations director put her hand over her mouth. The legal advisors exchanged panicked looks. Marcus continued, voice as calm as the lake before the storm. "Choice number 1. You restore the systems yourselves. Good luck with that. It would take my team at least 8 hours to identify the problem. You, without me, maybe 3 days, maybe never." Richard opened his mouth, but nothing came out. "Choice number 2. Marcus leaned forward slightly. "You hear me? They really listen to me. And then they decide if they want me to fix it in 10 minutes. Or if they'd rather explain to the shareholders why they lost $40 million in a single day." The director of operations, a gray-haired woman named Patricia, was the first to speak. "What do you want, Marcus?" He turned the laptop back towards him. He typed quickly. The meeting room's main screen lit up, showing a presentation he had prepared. Slide 1. Daniela Kurtz. Disciplinary history. 3 caveats. 5 complaints. 2 cases filed. Patricia turned pale. Slide 2. Estimated cost of today's incident: canceled flights. 34 passengers affected. 4,090. Estimated loss: $43.7 million. Reputational damage: incalculable. Richard squinted. Slide 3. Repercussion on social media. Daniela's video, 3.2 million views. Hashtag Rudiao boycott Sky Prime. National trending topic. Drop in company shares, 7% in 4 hours. Lisa whispered a barely audible, "Oh my God." Marcus turned off the presentation and looked directly at Richard. "Daniela Kurtz didn't just humiliate me. She created a PR bomb that will blow up in your faces. And do you know why? Because she did it knowing she was being filmed. Because she did it thinking she would have support. Because the culture of this company allows people like her to do this." Richard finally found his voice, although it was hoarse. "What do you want us to do?" Marcus crossed his arms. "Immediate dismissal of Daniela Kurtz. Full HR investigation into all cold cases. Mandatory sensitivity training for all cabin crew. And a public statement taking responsibility for what happened." Patricia wrote down every word. Richard hesitated. "Marcus, do you understand that firing someone for a single incident can—" "A single incident?" Marcus interrupted, voice rising for the first time. "Richard, she has 5 formal complaints. You archived everything because she was making waves on Instagram. You prioritized social media engagement over human dignity." Silence. Marcus took a deep breath, regaining his composure. "And there's one more thing." He opened another window on the laptop. Email sent to Commissioners Union plus Compliance Department plus 5 investigative journalists. Subject: The Real Faith Ace to Sky Prime Airlines. Richard read quickly. His face went from pale to gray. Did you leaked confidential information? I sent documented facts about corporate misconduct, facts that should have been treated for months. I just accelerate the inevitable." Patricia closed her eyes. She knew that was the end. Richard sank in his chair, defeated. "What do you want, Marcus? Money? Promotion? Silence agreement?" Marcus shook his head slowly. "I don't want anything to myself, Richard. I want you to do the right thing, for the first time." He got up, closed the laptop, and put it in his backpack. "The systems come back in 10 minutes, or never come back. Your decision." Marcus walked to the door. "Wait." Lisa ran to him. "Marcus, please, we need you." He stopped, turned. "I know, Lisa, but you also need to learn that some things are more important than profit." Patricia got up. "All good. You won. We do what you asked for. Daniela will be fired. Investigation will be opened. Statement will be published." Marcus waited 3 seconds. "I want that in writing. Now." Patricia took the laptop, typed furiously, and printed a document. Signed. He passed to Richard, who signed with trembling hands. Marcus took the paper, read each line, folded, and kept in his pocket. Then finally opened its laptop, typed a sequence of commands. Protocol General Restoration. Activated on the main screen of the room. Charts started to rise. Systems coming back online. Operational check-in. Luggage released. Reconnected control towers. In less than 5 minutes everything was working again. Richard let out such a deep sigh of relief that he almost collapsed in his chair. Marcus kept the laptop. "You have 24 hours to fulfill what you have signed. If you don't do, well, now you know what I'm capable of." He left the room without looking back. Lisa ran after him in the hall. "Marcus, wait." He stopped in the elevator. "Did you really do that?" she asked, a shaky voice. "You really knocked down everything?" Marcus looked at her with that unshakable calm he always had. "Lisa, I didn't knock anything down. I just showed how much this company depends on people it doesn't value." The elevator doors opened. "Are you going back tomorrow?" Lisa asked, almost whispering. Marcus smiled lightly. "I go, but not as before." The doors closed. On the way home, Marcus's cell phone vibrated. David Park's email. The lawyer. Mr. Chen, I just saw the SkyPrime Airlines statement. Congratulations. If you change your mind, let me know. But I confess you don't need me. You've won. Marcus kept the cell phone. Meanwhile, at the airport, Daniela Kurtz was being escorted out of the terminal by 2 security guards. Your bag in your hands, your confiscated badge. His red face of anger and shame. Passengers recognized it. Some recorded. Others applauded ironically. It's her, the scrotum commissioner. Movie. Daniela tried to cover her face, but it was too late. 3,800,000 views, and she knew she would never work with public service. That night, SkyPrime Airlines published an official statement. We deeply regret the incident on Flight 447. The employee involved has been turned off and we are implementing immediate changes in our training protocols. We apologize to Mr. Marcus Chen and reaffirmed our commitment to respect and dignity. The statement had 2 million likes, and Marcus Chen, for the first time in years, slept in peace. Because he had not sought revenge, he had sought justice, and did it. 3 weeks later, Marcus Chen was sitting at his table, now on the 14th floor, corner with panoramic views of the city. New plate at the door. Marcus Chen, Vice President of Technology and Innovation. The promotion came 2 days after the incident. Richard Vaughn had no choice. The shareholders' board required immediate changes after the technical collapse that almost destroyed the company. And everyone knew who really commanded the SkyPrime Airlines infrastructure. Marcus took a sip of coffee and opened the laptop. Organized emails. Systems operating perfectly. No red alert. Peace. Lisa knocked on the door and entered a genuine smile. Meeting in 10 minutes with the compliance team. They want their opinion on the new training protocols. Marcus nodded. I'll be there. Lisa hesitated on the door. Marcus, I just meant that you changed everything here. In truth, he looked up, surprised. I just did my work smooth. No, you did more than that. You showed that dignity matters, that people matter. Marcus smiled discreetly. Thanks. Lisa left, closing the door slowly. Marcus returned to the laptop and clicked on an open tab. News about SkyPrime Airlines. SkyPrime Airlines implements rehistorical forms after viral scandal. Employee fired after discrimination video. Company announces mandatory training. Humiliated passenger becomes silent hero of corporate change. Marcus had not given a single interview. I hadn't posted anything on social media. I hadn't sought the spotlight. He just let the facts speak for themselves. And it worked. Meanwhile, across town, Daniela Kurtz sat in a tiny apartment she could barely afford. Stacked moving boxes. Resume open on computer screen. She had sent it to 47 airlines. They all refused. His name was burned. The video had more than 6 million views. She had become a meme, a symbol of everything that was wrong with customer service. Daniela scrolled through her Instagram feed, now private, with just 200 followers remaining. The support messages were gone. The compliments evaporated. All that remained was silence and regret. She typed a message to Kevin, the junior flight attendant who still spoke to her occasionally. Do you think I overreacted that day? The answer came 3 minutes later. Yes, Danny, you exaggerated, and now everyone is paying for it, except you, who has already left. Daniela closed the application. Tears ran down his face. She had lost everything out of pride, out of arrogance, because she thought humiliating someone in public would make her powerful, and now she was alone. Back at SkyPrime, Marcus entered the meeting room where 15 employees were waiting for him. HR managers, cabin supervisors, operations directors. Patricia, the operations director, presented the new protocols. Mandatory quarterly training on diversity and inclusion, simplified anonymous reporting process, and zero tolerance for discrimination of any kind. Marcus listened carefully. He asked questions, suggested adjustments. At the end of the meeting, Richard Vaughn entered the room. He looked 10 years older. The stress had taken its toll. Marcus, can I talk to you? In particular? They went into the next room. Richard closed the door. I just wanted to say, I made a mistake. We made a mistake. For years. And you forced us to face this. Marcus crossed his arms, waiting. Richard continued, voice breaking. I spent my whole life prioritizing numbers, profits, actions, and I forgot that behind each number there is a person, until you showed me. He extended his hand. Thank you, Marcus. In truth, Marcus shook his hand. Firm, respectful. Just don't let it happen again, Richard. I am not going. You have my word. That night, Marcus returned home. Still modest apartment, same view of the parking lot. But something had changed. He opened his desk drawer and took out a letter he had received that morning. Simple envelope, hand seal. Inside, a handwritten message. Mr. Chen, my name is Sarah. I'm a junior flight attendant at SkyPrime. I was on flight 447. I saw everything, and I wanted you to know that you inspired me to report 3 cases of harassment that I had held back out of fear. Thank you for showing that we can fight with dignity. Marcus reread the letter 3 times, and for the first time in weeks, he truly smiled, because he hadn't done it out of revenge. I hadn't done it for the money. I didn't do it for fame. He had done it because at some point everyone needs someone to show them that it's okay to fight for what's right. Even when you are underestimated, even when you are ridiculed, even when you seem invisible. Marcus put the letter back in the drawer. He sat down at the table, he opened the laptop, and he started working on a new project, an internal anonymous reporting system, accessible to all Sky Prime employees, impossible to manipulate or archive. Because Marcus Chen has never been one to just put out fires. He was the type to rebuild the entire house so that the fire would never happen again. 6 months later, Sky Prime Airlines was recognized as one of the best companies to work for in the United States. Discrimination complaints fell by 89%. Employee satisfaction rose to historic levels. And it all started with a fat man standing in the aisle of an airplane, holding a carry-on suitcase. A man who refused to bow his head. A man who turned humiliation into revolution. The best revenge was never to destroy the enemy. It was building a world where he can no longer hurt anyone. And Marcus Chen didn't just win, he changed the game. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to remember that dignity always wins in the end. Because stories like Marcus's need to be told, and you could be the next to write yours.